At the time of the filming of Twin Peaks, I owned the Double R Diner, which was Marti Cafe. And when they came and asked about using the restaurant, I said, yes, you can. It was in February of 1989. And so the location scout left, and she came back in about a week and said, oh, yes, David Lynch wants to use it. And so we'll be back in a few weeks. And I said, well, we were fixing to do some remodeling. And she said, oh, no, 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 don't change anything. We want it just as it is. So they were back in 2 weeks, and they set up and did all-day shooting one day, and had the trailers for the this crew, this actors trailers, and the makeup crew and everything parked in behind the restaurant. And so they spent that day in there filming, and then the next day they filmed in the afternoon, and then the third day they started about 3:30 and worked until 2:30 in the morning. And when I left that night, I finally decided at 10 o'clock I was going to leave and go home. I was tired. So they said, well, can we eat pie? And I said, oh, sure, just mark it down. So the next day I came back, and there was 17 marks on a piece of paper. They had eaten 17 pieces of pie. It was okay with me. I just billed them for it. But during their office was across the street from us up in the second floor of the building. And so during the time they were there, they would send over and get a banana pie, and they got chocolate peanut butter occasionally. But I don't ever remember them getting cherry pie. So, I mean, we had no idea that the pie was in the film. And at that time, I had Garnet Cross, who was about 72, making the pies. And she had made pies for me for many years, and so she'd make 6 to 10 a day. And so, but after that, and so that was okay. They got through the filming. They were in location about 5 weeks around the Snoqualmie Valley and over on Bainbridge Island. And so then that was April of the following year before it was on TV. So in all this time, we were just, wondering what happened to that movie crew. So when it came out in April and they were eating the cherry pie and the damn fine coffee, we were just amazed. But it hit the news media, and we were in the news then. So from that time on, every week people were calling, wanting to come out and have pies, buy whole pies, and they just invaded us with it. So every weekend especially, we were really busy. So I ended up hiring another lady to come and help make pies, because Garnet could not keep up with the demand. So it finally got to the point that we couldn't sell any whole pies, and they would come in and make the pies in the morning, and we would start selling at 11 o'clock a.m. and sell until we ran out. And if people came in at 3 or 4 o'clock and we were out, they would really get upset. Some of them, well, we came here just for pie and coffee. And I'm so sorry, but we don't know what the demand is going to be. And during the summer, of course, it was real busy. And then when the second season started in September, it was just wild. We had people waiting for 20 minutes to come in to get pie and coffee. I'd never seen anything like it. And I had the restaurant for, 15 years then. And I mean, it was just amazing. And so we didn't sell any whole pies at that time, unless it was somebody like the Chicago radio station that wanted a whole pie, and a doctor in Kentucky that wanted a whole pie. And so we shipped out a few whole pies.
Well, so you shipped them, huh?
We shipped a few whole pies. In fact, there was one designer in New York that ordered pies for their opening, showing of their fashions. And we shipped, I think, 10 or 12 pies to them. And they didn't get there in real good shape, but they said they ate them anyway. But, it was just unbelievable, the things that happened. I would have never imagined in a million years that something like that would happen. And so one time, Kyle's grandmother was in it, MacLachlan's grandmother was in the restaurant, and she wanted me to bring them cherry pies over to the house. So we took off and drove to Yakima with, I think, 3 pies or something. And he was going to be there on the weekend for a benefit golf tournament, and they were going to surprise him with these Marti cherry pies. And they came back later and he said, I don't ever want another cherry pie. I ate so many when that TV show was being filmed that he was tired of them. He probably still hasn't eaten one. But you know, they did the filming of the pilot film there, and then they went back to LA and produced a studio where they had all the sets in it. So the most of the shows were done in LA, except for some clips, film clips that they took out of the original filming. So, but it has really been an experience.
They came back, of course, and shot Firewalk with Me.
They came back.
You were still owning at that
Yes,
time.
I still had it when they shot Firewalk with Me, and that time I got to walk around the building with David. Early morning he came and we walked around and just chatted. Really nice person. And of course, all the time they were filming during the daytime, I'd stay out and watch all that they were doing. And he was so hands-on with the actors and actresses. If they didn't get it right the first time, he would go over and show them how he wanted it done. I mean, I never heard him raise his voice or anything, and I've heard of actors getting really irate on the sets, but he was not that way at all. He was just a very calm, easygoing person. So I got to meet a lot of the actors and actresses when they were making Firewalk with Me, and that was really neat. We could stand around and have conversations just like anybody else. They're just normal people. They just got lucky and made a good film.
So how did that work with, did you actually have to shut down the diner for the day, and
yes,
they compensated you for that?
They compensated me for using the restaurant, and we just closed and let them go in there and do whatever they wanted to do. And the first day that they filmed, of course my help all wanted to be in there, and so I just made out a schedule. You can come for this 2 hours, you can come for this 2 hours.
Right.
So each person had a 2-hour slot that they could come in and be there and be quiet in the back while they were filming. So that worked out, that everybody got to see some of it. Of course, I stayed there all day. And,
You did not.
Yeah.
Now, did your local regulars get a little upset about all that?
Yes,
or?
they did a little bit.
I'm
So
sure
much
they're
that they
okay
were,
now, but-
not so much that we were closed those days, but it took up a lot of parking space that nobody else's business could get any customers, they thought. But that was who was bringing the money into town, was people coming in, and I'm sure they drifted down the street and did some more shopping. And but we did get our fair share of business during those first 2 years.
Yeah. Well, and so 10 years later, you've made pies for the festival, and it seems to be bigger than ever. Why do you think that is?
It's surprising, but I know it has been on TV this year, and I feed firemen up at the Washington State Fire Training Academy, and they have been talking to me every time I bring pie up. They said, "Oh, are these the Twin Peak pies?" And they are real interested into the fact that the festival was here, and they said, "Well, it's on TV." And so I think just the fact that it is continued to be shown, and the newer generation is getting into it, because that's what it is. The ones that weren't even old enough to look at it when it was first out are watching it now. So it's a whole different, well, of course the same people come here, some of the same people, but there are a lot of new people too. So it's a compliment to the area maybe, and also to the movie that Eric is putting it together, has put it together for 3 years.
Well, and your fabulous pies.
Oh, okay.
I had some today for the
part-
first time, and it is just tremendous.
This is another part for coming over here today, because you do have to catch the ferry, and then you have to catch the ferry back.
So it's like you're playing a role for the festival.
Yeah, this is my role, to bring the pies and be sure they have that part of it, because that was what our role at the restaurant was, and we got so many calls for people that wanted to ask questions and talk about it. So we just maintained doing the same thing, and the lady that made the pies for today was there when I had the restaurant, and we're still making them.